That's a real straight up drone war there, huh?
Drones used to target the tanks and the expensive systems that you see moving around. And then it was like they started targeting the other drones.
Where do you see the evolution of the drones going right now? Like some of the FPVs. What's the next, to counter the counters?
I think
Mike Monnik is the founder and CEO of DroneSec, a Melbourne-based company specializing in drone threat intelligence and counter-UAS security. With a background in cybersecurity and red teaming, he has advised organizations like NATO, Interpol, and the U.S. National Security Council on emerging drone threats. Under his leadership, DroneSec has become a trusted partner for military, government, and critical infrastructure sectors worldwide, providing actionable intelligence on malicious drone activities.
we're looking at how different threats are being performed around the world in terms of how those drones actually been used, whether it's weaponized or prison drops and things like that.
I can't believe it. Honestly, I've never seen anything like that. It really blew my mind today. It blew my mind.
Podcasts like these, it's being listened to by Russians, Chinese, all of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're taking notes.
Welcome to not Drone Wars, the Drone Ultimatum. It should have been Drone Wars, but it was stolen from me.
Me too.
Usurped. It was taken. It's
Yeah.
okay though. I still think we're the better podcast. So I don't know if have you gone on the other podcast?
So in a few days, because when I talked to you, it was like Drone Wars was the original one we talked about, and then when Dan Meiji had Drone Wars, I was like, well, now I have to do both.
This is fucking blasphemy, bro. Unless you're coming on mine first.
I came yours first.
Okay,
That's
all right. I'll accept it. I'll accept it.
Brought your hats. I hope peace offering.
This is a drone. I'm gonna wear this around. I'm actually going on a golf trip this weekend, so maybe I'll just wear this on the course.
There you go.
Wait, is this also?
One was for Jack.
Well, he'll get this. I kind of like this one.
You can choose whichever one you want.
Tell me about the logo.
Yeah, sure. So, our original logo was just a drone, like an actual drone, because DroneSec, we were pretty early with the name back then. And so we changed it. It kind of means like looking back at historical TDPs, looking forward at predicting and forecasting.
What's
like
a TDP?
Threats, tactic, technique, procedure. It's basically how a drone does a certain...
TDP?
Yeah, TDP.
Tactic?
Yep, technique and procedure.
That's TTP.
Yeah, TDP. That's what I
they
said.
said TDP.
No,
like
no,
Tango,
this is the
Delta.
Aussie, probably the Aussie accent that's coming through. TTP.
When I heard TDP, I was thinking technical data package or whatever. That's what they say in the military. The TDP.
TTP.
TTP.
I gotta pronounce that more.
You down with TTP?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me. That's right.
There you go.
I'm down. Okay, so you do that.
Yeah. So the logo had to become more professional, given they just thought we were a drone company. They thought we made drones or flew them. And while we all personally fly drones or have done it in our work in the past, it was all about intel. So we're intelligence for drone threats.
Okay, intelligence for drone threats. Take me through what that means.
So we're looking at how different threats are being performed around the world in terms of how those drones actually been used, whether it's weaponized or prison drops and things like that.
Okay.
And we'll document that into a database, so you've got a menu of options if you want to use offensive or defensive measures. So you're sitting there going, okay, this threat is occurring. How do I counter that in this part of the world, right? Or if you see a countermeasure somewhere, how can you determine the effectiveness? So your system, for example, we'd be looking at how that is occurring throughout the world from an open source perspective. And if we see it's effective for one type of system, then we get to document and codify that and give that to customers.
So this is like, let's assume my product works and it's out there and shooting drones down. You would then like explain to the customer, like this thing neutralizes all these different types of threats, and you'd create a report for that?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we're going to show them the nuances for it. So this has worked in, say, cold weather. This is not working in hot weather. This is the success rate we've seen. It takes down big drones, but it misses small drones. This is how it operates against swarms.
Nice.
And we're seeing that from what's happening in, say, the battlefield.
Have we even seen swarms yet?
We have seen different levels of multiple drones in the air at the same time.
Yeah.
So Ukraine, you've got 15 FPVs flying close together with each other, trying to strike a singular target.
Yeah.
So if one or two of them gets taken down or doesn't make it, you've still got another few that are going to make it. And then prisons, like we've seen up to 16 drones on a single prison drop at one time within the US. So those are what you call the pseudo swarms.
Prisons are crazy. Prison drone stuff. Like I talked to some departments of correction around the country when I first started this company.
Yeah.
They have a massive drone problem. Massive.
Yeah.
And they don't talk about it that much. Like, they're a little afraid of it. They don't know what to do.
Some of it is public, but what I think is interesting is like the innovation of the prison gangs is what motivates a lot of what we see in the battlefield. I don't know if you've seen the cat and mouse game of prisons, but it used to be like, people would throw a tennis ball filled with contraband over the prison wall.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, we can use drones, and they'd use the DJIs. And then they very quickly found out they'd get tracked because the aeroscope and the systems that pick up the drone ID. So they're like, we'll go to Autel or, Skydio or make our custom one. They started dropping this contraband from drones, and then the prisons started putting netting, mesh netting over the top, which, by the way, there's some issues around fire safety if prisoners have to get out. And so the drones would start putting flammable substance over, say, basketballs or tennis balls. So when they drop it onto the nets, it burns a hole through that net.
Yeah.
Not only is the contraband getting through, but some of them are flying their drones through that hole and then delivering the contraband and flying back out. So we're seeing this in some prisons like 3 or 4 times a day. Multiple drops. So now they've got to change their netting, make it metal or something like that.
That's tough. Yeah, we always get asked if we can do like a non-lethal version of our product, or right now like all the rage is like Homeland Defense of like from drones like at football stadiums or prisons, or like it's a big topic right now in the administration. And it's like funny because I'll be talking to these people and they'll be like, hey, like if a drone with a bomb comes at like this high value target in the U.S., like what do you think we should do about it? And I was like, I don't know, like you could shoot it or something. They're like, no, we can't do that. And I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, I want it to like go away without any potential for anyone getting hurt. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do for you. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, I mean,
they said they would rather actually have it hit the target than like neutralize it with a dangerous item.
Right.
That's like where
don't want to break the laws, but
the administration, that's where like the government is at right now. They're like, well, I mean, I guess we can just hit the stadium. Fuck it.
Right.
Basically.
It's that whole thing of like if you're on an airplane, and this may be different for the US than it is Australia, but if you're on a plane and you're not meant to have a gun, but someone's trying to take over the cockpit, do you use it and face felonies, or do you not use it?
Yeah, I mean,
not face felonies, but the plane's been taken over. It's that similar kind of concept.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do agree. Like, I see where they're coming from because like, it would be scary to have an M240 gun shooting in the city,
or the Gatling gun.
Like it's not even any of that. Like. And I was like, we bought some plastic bullets, but even a plastic bullet would hurt really bad. Like, honestly.
Sure.
Well, if you're shooting up, then it kind of falls to the ground.
Are these 50 cal plastic bullets?
No, like 7.62. But
okay.
But the thing is, like, none of that's an elegant solution. They really what they want is like a net gun, like nets them. Like or like a drone that flies up and nets it and drags it somewhere.
Yeah. So. And obviously there are some providers that do that, but like you look at the kill chain for nets, and there's certain situations where it works. I mean, if
pull
you've got
Fordham, like the drone hunter.
Oh yeah, the drone hunter. I've seen those.
Yeah.
That can work if you've got like, and I'm not talking about this specific company, but if you've got 1 or 2 drones in the air, I mean, what are you doing if there is a swarm? But there's been different versions of nets that we've seen on many different systems. Even in Ukraine, it's like your ISR drones these days. They have to have some sort of net or a cage around them.
Go up to the top
keep it in the keep it in the air, right? So
yeah. This is actually pretty good. I actually told Jack I was like, type in Fordham drone hunter. He typed Fordham, like the school or something. I was like, bro, you're on the marketing team here. You should know all these companies. That's a black mark against you, bro. That's a strike. I caught that.
Do you think these kind of systems are being used on the battlefield?
Well, not on the battlefield, but this like for domestic. It could be, like I've seen this in action at like MIFIX or one of these like army test. Like I was there, and it's quite a monstrosity, to be honest. It's not like that agile.
Okay,
but I think that if they develop it more, I mean, it's huge. Have you seen this in person?
I have not.
It's like it's a big boy.
Is it similar to say a Flycart 30 in size or a Matrice 600?
It's about the size of this table.
Okay,
and like. That way it's huge, and yeah, so like it goes and it captures the drone. See the nets coming out here.
Yeah,
so I think like domestically this is what they would prefer. So
yeah, because I mean on one end of the spectrum, if you capture with a net, you can do exploitation of that system, reverse engineering. You get to, if it's got an SD card in it or a serial number, you get to put that data together and figure out who was flying it, where it was from. So a net can be good. What happens though if that system has an explosive payload and you capture it in a net, I guess you'd perform some EOD on it.
Yeah, something like that. Oh yeah, true. because like you're just dragging it somewhere and it's going to blow up later.
Yeah, exactly. So you
Well, can they remote detonate them? They have to like the impact detonates, right? Like they don't. How does it work with the bombs on the little drones?
yeah. So I mean, there's different types, right? So one thing
You're
is
the expert.
you can't assume a drone has a certain type of weaponization. So you know the one-way attack or OWA. These are small FPVs. They've got, say, an RPG warhead or something like that on them. You would expect they're going to fly straight into the target, hit and detonate. These days, I mean, we're seeing them drop them almost like a recovery.
Oh,
position.
they come and they drop a bomb.
Yeah, but that's an FPV dropping it. So you would assume maybe a Mavic or Mavic 3, for example, would drop something, but they'll also be one-way attack. So we've seen the Cartels, for example, have ball bearings and a little plastic container underneath the drone. They've got some C4. They'll fly it directly to the target and then detonate it there, which is that one-way attack. So your system has to figure out, I guess, is this going to hit me straight on or is it going to drop something from above?
Okay.
So, I mean, and that's kind of what we help with those TDPs is, where in the kill chain should your countermeasure be focusing on, depending on the threat that's coming towards you. So I think your product's pretty interesting because it's almost like those tower defense games, right? It's like,
yeah, we're just going to shoot it no matter what it is. I mean, like almost, right?
Well, okay, so we think a lot from like the adversarial mindset. So I'm going to think like a bad guy for a second.
Yeah.
I'm coming up against your system.
Okay.
First of all, I mean, if I've got multiple drones, let's say I've got a pseudo swarm, 15 systems from different directions.
Nice. That's what we want.
Okay. Your azimuth for directly above, can you shoot straight up?
Top attack.
Okay, you've got straight up. What about, nape the earth really low to the ground?
It's full protective bubble to the ground.
Now, you won't want to have any friendlies, or do you have a boundary that stops it from hitting your assets?
You can put that in software if you want. But you can define it. But I would recommend, since the drones could come from anywhere, you kind of have to let it do its thing.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Unless you want to die.
But unless you have, what if you're standing close to the turret, or you've got your assets, 20 meters from it?
Yeah, I mean, you could, obviously the computer vision can, friendly human, don't shoot.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool. No, that's good. All right, so you've counted me there. I've got 15 systems. Do you fire, say, 2 shots or a number of shots at a system and then switch to the next, or would you have to take it out and confirm it's gone before you move on?
No,
to the next target?
So it's tracking all of the Sky Search cam is a full 360 search. Sky Search of 3 seconds every 3 seconds. So we're tracking all of the targets in the bubble, in the dome. Up to 1 kilometer is our range.
1 kilometer.
Because it's like a lot of these.
Is that the bullet range?
No, like the Sky Search.
Okay.
Because a lot of these search companies, in America, we're weird. Where like all of the requirements are like, I want to detect the drone 10 miles out.
Sure.
I've pretty much ignored all those requirements because I'm preparing for like a drone war. Yeah. Where like the drones are close. Because obviously they're going to be close.
You're focusing on the red zone.
Yeah. Yep. So like in this kilometer bubble, we see those 15 targets. We start building. That's why we have so many processing inside the turret. We start actually building the motion planning for all of them in parallel, of like where how much voltage to apply to the motor to move it to the right spot. So like we're ready to like switch quickly between all the targets.
Okay, and that I guess that system can that then latch onto any system, like a bolt-on to any weapon. And like, I'm sure you're aware of Smart Shooter. You don't have to talk about competitors.
Oh, no, that's why I love it.
I don't know.
Let's pull that up. Shit. I pump everyone, dude.
Okay.
I want everything to work.
Cool. So
honestly, I want everything to work. Doesn't mean it does, but I want it to.
Smart Shooter is interesting because, from what I understand, I mean, they're trying to hit the weapon that most people will have in hand.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily like turret defense, but so how are you guys different to these in terms of your focusing on the warfighter, the personnel, versus say the base defense and sitting on a turret somewhere?
Yeah, so like this would be for like a human holding it, right? And I've actually used this at a trade show. They let me like play with it, This is like if you're out there and you want to like it's a human. We're just a turret that doesn't have a human, so it's just like it's a little different.
Yeah,
but this was tough because you have to be really good with it. Like if a drone's coming in at you and you're relying on this, you have to like basically be as cold as ice. You can't be scared.
Sure.
Because it's terrifying, bro. Yeah. So like you got to really hope you don't miss. Whereas like with ours, like you don't even need to be there. You can hide.
I think that's the way forward. So if you're exposed and you're trying to target something like this using a handheld system like that, the drone's in front of you, right? And I don't know if you heard some of the statistics off the front line in Ukraine about operator life time to basically have a home on jam. But guys are using some of the drone guns. They're standing outside of their trench in their area, and these drones are targeting them because they're being able to figure out where that's coming from and strike them. So
crazy. No, but like think about the like you have to be the ice in your veins to like be able to use one of these. You have to like literally stand in front of death,
right?
And be like, I got this.
Yeah. Maybe it's the last line of defense.
I honestly would be. Maybe I'm too cowardice. Like I couldn't do it, to be honest. Like I don't know. Would you?
I'm happy doing the intelligence,
dude. It's
sitting
terrifying.
in the background.
Like you watch these Instagram, like they post this stuff online, like Russia and Ukrainians, and you see these people trying to shoot like with their manual guns or like with this or with a drone buster.
Yep,
the drone buster is Australian, right?
No, I don't think so. I think we've got the drone shield drone gun.
Gun, yeah.
Whereas the drone buster is US, I believe. So those videos, like, and that's a lot of what we do. So we have a intelligence platform that analysts will log into every day, and they'll see every drone incident or video.
So you have like a SaaS platform.
Yeah, exactly. It's SaaS platform.
How much do I have to pay to have access?
It is in the six figures, right?
A year?
Yeah.
But I get to see like drone kills.
You get to see the drone kills, what make and model, how did it happen, where did it happen, who did it, and then all the metadata associated with it. So was it a new tactic we've seen? Was it, a different flight profile?
This is an amazing product. That's what you do?
Yeah, exactly. So
this is awesome.
let me tell you how it all works. So, and the reason why it started was I was in red teaming. So we were using cyber or lockpicking or social engineering to break into different facilities and perimeters. We test prisons, critical infrastructure. We try to break into these places, put a few stickers in some, really austere locations, and then get out and then be able to show them we're broken in. And we started using drones like, 2016, 2017 to infiltrate these locations, which was incredible. You get to see where the guards are walking, you get to drag ropes over walls, climb ladders, you get to do all the stuff with drones. And so we wanted to replicate that, especially if we came up against countermeasures. So you've got guards who will spot a drone and get on the comms and tell them. You've got other types of counter-UAS, kinetic, RF, detection. And so we wanted to evade those. So one of the reasons I started this was we saw these ways drones were being used, drop radiation on, say, the Japanese Prime Minister's roof. That was way back. Drone landed on the White House grounds. And so we're like, okay, if we log all these incidents and we extract the TDP, the tactic, we can then use that as like a menu when we're going into one of these operations. So, for example, a red team, if you're trying to focus on evading detection, you might, wrap that in aluminum foil or something like that to protect against GPS, or you might remove the drone ID with some firmware so it's not detected. So at first we had a spreadsheet and we put every single one of these tactics into a spreadsheet. And I was like, surely in terms of like cyber, where there's a million threats happening a day and people exchanging threat intel information, you're going to need to have a million drone incidents a day where each one has a new tactic. Right. So you see people sharing it on LinkedIn, right? Videos or Instagram, right?
You've actually like operationalized this essentially.
Yep. All of that is codified into a menu of options for them to use, whether they're doing offensive tactics. So that, let's say some of our customers are piloting drones. They're going to look at the technical components that we've captured in these things and replicate that. So they can actually do exactly what they're seeing, say, the Ukrainians or Russians doing on the battlefield. So it's like a database for lessons learned. And then the counter-UAS guys will build their counter-UAS effectors, similar to yours, against what we're seeing works really well, what doesn't work. We then, basically merge this with a bunch of data. So you can go in there and search like Mavic 3, see every way that Mavic 3s are being used throughout the world for threats.
And you'll have examples of it like in war, in prisons. You can watch it all.
Yeah. And the best thing is like, so everyone's watching Ukraine and Russia at the moment, whereas like a lot of their TDPs came from Myanmar or from Jammu and Kashmir, right? So because we're logging all the data for a long time, we already know what systems are in that area. So for example, if you wanted to deploy troops to Haiti tomorrow, would you know what systems your counter-UAS is going to be taking out?
No.
Okay, so that's what we help with. We go to you and we're like, here is every example.
Here's what you're going to see there.
That's what you're going to see there. And so if
I'll invest, just send me the term sheet, bro. Just send it. I'm in.
Yeah. Well, and so, I mean, user feedback's great, right? So you might find that some of the Haitian street gangs, they're using DJIs and so forth. And so you might have a countermeasure that affects against that. And you've got your 1 kilometer or 1 mile radius for your system. the next 5 miles out might be RF jamming for those systems that we know are in the area.
Yeah.
And then it extends past that. But if we've told you that there's Skydios flying around there, or there's certain FPVs with like 1.3 gigahertz frequencies, you're going to change your countermeasures to match what's in the environment. So that's what we're all about. It's like environment-based threats and the actors that are using it and where they're at. So, for example, the cartels in Mexico.
Yeah.
Their systems that they use are very different to the rebels in Myanmar. But in Myanmar, they're using drones just as much at a frequency.
Just different
as
systems,
Ukraine.
different countermeasures needed and stuff like that.
And you know why, right? Because some of the cartels are well funded, so they prefer to buy like a DJI Avata as an FPV and use that.
A DJI, can we pull that one up?
Avata, yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's they first had the DJI FPV, and then they came out with the DJI Avata. It's smaller, used by the Israeli Defense Forces to go through narrow buildings.
This one looks like it's pretty vulnerable to like EW, or
yes. So you're correct, because it uses like the OcuSync protocol or the DJI protocols, right? And frequencies. Whereas the custom FPVs, they can change those frequencies. So in Myanmar, the rebels don't have much money, so they focus on survivability. So it's like they want to use a drone that can drop things and come back. They don't want to hit one-way attack, not that often.
Yeah.
They want their bird to be used for multiple sorties. Whereas the cartels are like, I'll just buy a new one. So you can expect a difference in tactic depending on the environment you're in.
Okay. Why don't you let's talk a little bit about the evolution of drones. Let's pull up the Anduril Bolt. Seen that one, right?
Yes, I've seen that one.
So like this one, I'm interested. I was trying to educate some congressional staff the other day on this. Like if you look at this thing, like this thing's not going to, I don't think this thing gets hit by EW or microwaves. Like I think this just crushes any of that stuff.
So it has autonomous guidance? I mean, because there's different ways of...
autonomous guidance, yeah.
Yeah, there's different ways of evading that kind of stuff, right? I mean...
For EW. But I'm saying for microwaves, it looks like it's kind of metallic. It looks like it has protective... Like I talked to the people who made this, and they said, they've designed with microwaves in mind.
By the way, remind me, if you don't know already, the marketing company behind this, or the guys who take some of these videos, and it may not necessarily just be for this one, but have you heard of TAC Gas? I'll mention them on here, because TAC Gas is amazing.
They're the marketers?
They do it for a lot of drone weaponization videos, and their stuff looks really, really good.
Yeah, it looks sick.
It's a little bit harder to capture intelligence in a video, because it's, sitting on a computer
of course.
But for stuff like this, it's awesome. So this is a great example of if you're trying to determine if it can counter things like EW, we can show you what all those components are, how you would bolt them onto a platform, or the effectiveness. So, if you've got microwave or lasers, like let's say lasers, right?
Lasers, yeah. Well, no one has lasers, energy. But sure.
AIM Defense out of Australia.
I mean, like, how many laser kills on the battlefield so far? I think
so. That's a good point.
I think very few.
Very few. From what we've seen.
I come from the Navy, and we've been trying to do lasers for 60 years. Still no lasers. We've been investing though every year. We're working on it.
Do they happen in trials, like test and evaluation?
Oh, always. That's what we spend. Our government loves to spend money on laser R&D. But as you can see from the battlefield, the modern battlefield, and all the previous battlefields of the last 30 years. No lasers.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean,
lasers are kind of a joke to me, to be honest.
How large is the system that's producing that? You've obviously got to get a small form factor, because otherwise it's going to be a target. One of the things we see out of Ukraine is the drones. So drones used to target the tanks and the expensive systems that you see moving around. And then it was like they started targeting the other drones themselves. So like, the Ukrainian Baba Yagas.
Yeah.
They were a bigger system, but they were still very hard to take down with other means. So we would see a Russian drone that's weaponized that has a choice of, it sees a tank worth multi-millions of dollars, and yet it sees a small drone like a Baba Yaga, which is only worth maybe $30,000, $50,000.
Oh, yeah?
And it makes a conscious choice to target the $50,000 drone over the multi-million-dollar tank.
Really?
Because the drone will take out more of their guys than the tank. And so it's like, who does it target next? And we've probably seen something similar with the pilots.
Is that you're saying it's making autonomous targeting decisions?
No, that's a pilot who's like, okay, we see a drone in the air, we're going to take this choice opportunity.
Where do you see the evolution of the drones going right now? Like some of the FPVs, like what's the next, to counter the counters? Yeah,
so, heaps of countermeasures for sure. Yeah. But I see a difference in the good pilots are getting taken out on the front line. And so they're trying to move them back to safer areas where they can keep training and flying beyond visual line of sight.
There's a big pilot skill diff. basically.
Yes.
Like pilot skill is important.
Exactly. So
Okay.
imagine losing your best guys. I mean, you're suddenly going to lose a lot of your capability if your best guy, your best trainer gets out. So what we're seeing, and there was a video released by one of the Russian state media channels,
Yeah.
and it showed some of the soldiers deploying the drone on the front line, and then it showed some guys in the Moscow business center remotely flying or piloting it with a system called Orbiter.
Mhm.
And so that means that their good pilots are now in a safe building in the capital.
Oh, they'd use like relays,
Yeah.
basically.
And they're not actually on the front line, because those being on the front line as a pilot, you have to remember everything else. You're taking cover, you're firing, you're doing all of that. Now they get to just pilot.
So you
remotely.
basically have like two sets of you have like people trying to position the FPVs and station them somewhere,
Yeah.
and then the pilots are way back.
I think that's where it's going to go. So that's the future of what we're seeing.
But what about the fiber optic stuff too? Like that's part of it now, right?
Yeah. So let me explain how that looks from our company perspective. So we flagged that really early, where we saw like some use cases of fiber optics, and customers came back to us all the time, like, you told us about this 8 months ago, and we're now only seeing it kind of on social media or bubbling up. And they were like, we didn't think it was big at the time, but it's absolutely important. So fiber optic, obviously immune to EW, and there's been some countermeasures that have been trialed. So
Like what?
okay, so I'll walk you through them. But remember, fiber optic is great for a number of reasons, and it was attempted to be disproved a few times. But 4K vision, and the most important thing about sharing on socials is making sure you have great, clear vision of it hitting the target.
Yeah.
They can also read road signs. They can navigate with our maps. So they can be like, there's a road sign, there's a flag, there's a street. It's not grainy analog vision, right? It also means people at first were like, well, it's going to
Because
get
the speed of light's very fast.
It is very
Yeah.
fast.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It also could, target systems around trees or inside houses without that ground interference. So amazing amount of use cases. So both sides have been focusing on what are the countermeasures for fiber optic cable. One of those was to almost like maintenance for fiber optic cables, where you cut it and you put in it's a special tool name, but it basically sends the light up and you try to look for any kinks in the wire, and that will show you where it is. So they've tried to illuminate it on the battlefield. The problem with the illumination is it takes about 15 minutes. If there's any breaks in the line, it's only going to get to that point where the break is. And once they try to follow it back to the original location, I mean, that could be 20 kilometers
Exactly.
away.
It's so far away. Like,
yeah. But we did see one really successful use case of following the fiber optic cables. So this is just a launch OPSEC issue. There was a few Russian operators at a certain location, and they were using that as their C2 or their main launch location. They had done like what looked like 500 flights out of this building in the middle of nowhere. And when the Ukrainian operators were flying their drone, the sunlight glistened or, created a glint on the wires, and they were able to follow that back almost like a spoke, a hub and spoke form. They followed it back to that location and then sent in some FPV drones to that location. And they made the mistake of launching from the same place. But if you have crisscross wires all over the ground, which is what's happening, it's getting a little bit more difficult to pinpoint it. But if you're launching from the same location, that sun at that time in the morning is going to lead
But
you
I think
back.
the people launching the fiber optic drones know how to hide better now, right?
I think that's definitely what occurred after a few of those attempts.
All right, so what are the actual physical countermeasures? Microwaves?
So Kinetic on the battlefield, what we're seeing is like Kinetic. They fly a little bit slower than your analog system, so they're a little bit more kind of dopey and drift. So we're seeing thermal vision with firearms, trying to bring them down, especially at night. And nets, of course, on some of the small FPVs.
Yep.
Not like the Fordham system we saw, but smaller systems. There's like a 1 or 2 net that will shoot out.
Like interceptors, nets?
Right.
Yeah.
And then just good old FPV taking out another fiber optic drone. So try to identify where it is, head straight for it, and then take it out.
I mean, this is like, it's a real straight up drone war there, huh?
It is.
It's just straight drones.
Yep.
Both sides.
And it's not just Ukraine. This is the
Everywhere.
education problem we're trying to say is like, so within Africa, like Sudan, Somalia.
Like the warring warlords are like drone on drone.
Correct. Because it's so cheap, right? Like, they're used to spending some money where they can on exquisite systems if that comes up. But now you can import them from anywhere. They're not seen as like, they're not ITAR restricted unless there's certain drones. You can import them. You can use them. Low skill barrier. The cartels are paying people.
So what you're
especially
saying is,
Colombians.
I'm going to have a massive market. I can sell anywhere.
This is a phenomenal market. I mean, it's something we don't want to happen, but it's going to happen.
Well, no,
It's
I mean, they're
happening
using drone. We got to neutralize these threats.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy.
so I think your system is going to be really important for long border areas, because if you look at the border of Pakistan and India, and of course that was a recent flashpoint, but we've been gathering data on them since 2016, so we can look at the evolution of those drones. But they've got high mountainous regions, and when some of those drones are coming to do drops, they have to fire like illumination bombs to see at night. I don't know if your system works thermal and
Yeah.
and
It's at night.
awesome. So you've already ticked one of those boxes.
EOIR.
Yeah, they have to have border guards situated all over the border, and they're trying to use drone jammers to soft kill and hard kill. Now, one of the things they've started is a bounty program on the Pakistan-India border. That means that anyone from those little villages hears a drone or sees one or sees someone trying to launch one, they'll call in the border guards and they'll send them to it.
So this is happening like now. Like, you know, like they've
Absolutely.
had a ceasefire, but they're actually still drone skirmishes.
Oh, the drone skirmishes have been happening for years because it's the drug and contraband.
Yeah, it doesn't actually get a lot of
right.
media coverage, though. But
Which is surprising. I'll show you. I mean, if we were logged in, I'd show you the platform, but there are just
we're in.
thousands of drone incidents across that
no, we got
border
it. Let's
area.
show the platform, dude. All right. Hell yeah. Bro, we logged into the massively secure DroneSec platform, and we are seeing hotspots all around the world here, basically, right?
Yeah, so let's go to the incident map. I'll show you just kind of what that looks like on a wider basis around the world. Just click once.
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of data to load, but we've got different views, so you're able to maybe minimize that one over there. There's like a left arrow.
Wow, hold on. I definitely need to have this for my pitch deck.
Yep.
Bro, I mean, I'm not even kidding.
We get a lot of companies wanting to use it for sales and marketing because they can literally pull up any incident anywhere over the world.
Let's go to India, Pakistan, right?
Let's do it. So zoom into that section there. It's got 1.1K. And then click the toggle, which is like clustering. Click that one. And you can click on, like, zoom into that area between Jammu and Kashmir, for example. Keep zooming in further up. You'll just see the delta and the frequency of these systems or incidents, right? And every single one of these tells a story. So the flashing ones happen in like the last 24 hours or something. If you click on priority heat map or heat map, you'll see the different ways that we view all this data.
Is fucking amazing.
And
what?
No, I'm glad you like it. If you click on one of these, so click off the priority heat map, zoom in, click on one of them, like that weaponized one there or something. Or
all right, so for the listeners, you just got to turn on YouTube, like get off Apple or whatever, and you got to watch this.
Oh, yeah. It would make no sense just listening to this.
No, I mean, they'll just, my excitement, they'll know. But,
Cool.
Okay, so like you just click on one of these? Or
Yeah,
what?
so click on it. There's like an item there, right? And on the right-hand side, that filter, if that arrow near the name there, those are all the filters you can use. You can look for things on a certain day. The categories have like strike.
So can we find like
events.
FPV?
Yeah, so you could do it by different drones and all.
So how do you
can search the database?
Let's do like is it tags or how do you do drone models?
Yeah, there's heaps, right? But maybe I want to show you how this kind of works.
Oh, yeah,
so
let you do it. You do it. You tell us.
Let's zoom out for a second. Yeah, just go to Myanmar.
This is a good geography test for Jack here.
Yeah, southeast. Yeah. Zoom in. Let's go a little bit more to the center of that. Keep zooming in.
Yeah.
Myanmar up that way.
Up.
Yeah.
Jack doesn't know his geography. I didn't know either.
There's like a flashing one further up. No, further up.
Up.
Yeah, further up.
There we go.
There's a flashing one there.
That one?
Let's go have a look near there. Oh, so see right below your cursor, there's a red one there.
Okay.
I think this was the first time. Click that one. Yeah, so this is when some rebels launched air-to-ground missiles from an agricultural drone. So hit that little blue button there, and it will take you to what's called the incident brief. This gives you all the information you need about what happened. So there's an analysis, there's the make and model of drone, there's the domain it occurred in, the geo lat long coordinates. You can see, here's the images and videos. So you click on that. This means that our customers don't have to visit the dodgy Telegram channels. They just see it all on platform. And I think the last one's the video or middle one.
This is the drone they used?
Yes, they used an agricultural drone. Video should be here somewhere. Yeah, click that one.
And they shot a missile from it.
Yes, two of them. Had the audio coming through there.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the screen there.
That's fine. So like they and then you Like they're actually going to show the shot here?
Yes, yeah. So we look at this, we do technical component analysis on it. We go, what do they use? What are the little components to fire these off, like rail launched?
Yeah.
And then if our customers want to replicate this in a T&E environment, like against a counter-UAS system, they get to build this because we've told them what components went into it.
And you're mostly, this is like OSINT?
Yeah. So it's open source intelligence unclass, which means no stovepipe, information.
Yeah.
And everything you see on here, copycats and other adversaries can do as well.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone sees this, this is out there. So we're basically just telling our customers,
holy shit,
this is what everyone's seeing, and they can replicate it. So I don't know if it hit target, but you've only seen this 2 places from what we're aware of air-to-ground launches.
Bullfrog would have iced that, just to be clear.
I'm glad. I want to see it in a T&E test. Other one was Hezbollah. They attached 2 cold-launched rockets from a Ababil 2.
Yeah.
So retrofitted it. So we look at this and we're like, hey, is this a trend change? Should we be aware of this happening more often? With this platform, did this come out recently? Has it been around for a while? And so we get to look at that innovation phase, like the cat and mouse game you keep talking about. We're logging all that data, so you can actually tell the date and time that it happened, and then the changes that have taken place since then. Right.
Back to the map.
So, yeah, let's get out of here.
Back to the map, bro. How do you do that?
Just hit escape, scroll up. You've got some sources there up the top. Like if you scroll up, actually, you see you've got explosives as a tag. So click that. This will take you to the search database. You can search for anything like FPV or Baba Yaga, anything in here. You've got thousands of results. And you can search through this and make a really quick report. Just export these all out really quickly.
Wow.
Which is great. So on the left-hand side, I'll do a quick run-through of it. We've got the Intel briefs
I've
as
literally, never been more confident about my business than right now.
Cool.
Honestly, I had no idea about it. I literally had no clue.
Really?
About the amount of drone strikes and drones being used everywhere.
Oh, we're seeing heaps. I mean, if you go to your browser bar...
I actually didn't know, bro.
I'm going to show you something. Jack, go to your browser bar and see the search tag section. Just select that and replace it with...
Independence Army CUAS vehicle struck by drone dropped explosive Myanmar.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know if we can search on here, but it's like the daily intel brief. So every single day we send an email with, 15 to 20 key mega drone incidents that occurred around the world, and our customers can quickly look at those and go find the right ones. Because we saw people trying to do this on a monthly basis, and this is happening on a daily basis, right? You have to look at what's happening every single day. So
yeah.
Let's go to Quick Intel. I'm going to show you the
Quick Intel
sections.
on the side there.
Yeah, so Quick Intel, this allows you to look at innovations, trends. If you hit categories, for example, let's select counter drone. No, far right hand side. Yeah, hit categories. Counter drone systems. And let's go to the countries and just select Russia and Ukraine, or just you can type it, start typing it. Yeah, man, you're a better user than this than I am.
Apply.
So apply that. Now you're going to get not.
Don't stroke his ego. All right, here we go. So now, here we go. Mavic 3. Let's watch this one.
So these are all artifacts. So basically, this means these are like trends. They're not incident that happened. So this gives them a good amount of information. I'm gonna
Cope cage.
Yeah, you can definitely search for cope or cope cage. So yeah, that might take you to another link depending on your connection. But so searches is how you would track all this. You would create different searches. So this is me looking for all LAN events or Mexican cartel use of US. This will ping you with an email and say, this is what happened.
Mexican cartel use of SUAS, that's good. Can we click that one, or how does that work?
Yeah, so click that one. That will take you to a search database of the current items for my specific search that I was looking for, and it will send you emails for it as well. But I'll show you what that looks like in detail as well. So I'll keep spinning you through. Go to favorites, for example. That's just kind of the analyst dashboard. So we sell mostly to intel agencies or any kind of group that has an analyst that's dedicated to counter US or UAS operations. Yeah, they're our users. So they'd use this little dashboard to favorite stuff. You can see the use of the Flycart 30 or the Autel 2, the Zala. These are all things they add. Request for information is the intelligence community for counter US. Yeah, these are incredible. I'm going to show you one or two that I can show. So scroll down past the hidden ones. So we've got these requests for very specific information, like Mexican cartels. If you click on that, for example, you're now going to hit the download icon. This is now our analyst portion of the platform.
Okay.
So every month, customers get one RFI, but they get to see everyone else's RFIs. So that means keep scrolling down. You're going to see everything related to Mexican cartel use of UAS close to the southern border. And this is all from our platform. It's just put into like a deep analysis document. So anything you want to know, frequencies, drone types, TDPs, whether they use it at night and day, where they're producing them. Funny story, tortilla factories. Recently, 3,000 bomblets were found in a tortilla factory. So
wow,
there's a lot here.
They're
But
trying to mess up the tortillas.
flying tortilla deliveries.
That's messed up.
With weaponization. So we do all those diagrams. We show the TDPs. Basically, just gives you a playbook if you're doing offensive or defensive T&E to use all these options, right? So that's an RFI. You can kind of spin through it, and I'll show you the other sections as well.
You can go out of this.
So go back, go to the knowledge base. So this is a cool bit. This is where we capture all the documents produced by adversaries. So think like any hidden Russian documents on the new systems they're building or the frequencies they're using. Like, click on the first one in English.
How do you like capture this, or how do you find this? It's just public?
No, this is this is adversary chatter. So that means that we're talking to them or we're extracting these documents from their forums or groups or whatever, or we're capturing in public. So yeah, if you scroll down, this is like a document that we've now translated. Our translation engine is amazing.
Yeah.
Laura sent me
cool.
Russian.
There you go. So now, so this is one of those documents. If you hit back, you'll see just the hundreds that we have and we capture. And there's different categories of them, but there's our trends presentation. So hit that one. On a monthly basis, we present this brief to every single one of our customers. Some of them have 200 people rocking up, and we make them aware of all the novel use of drones throughout the world in terms of weaponization. So keep scrolling down. I'll give you a quick brief. Those are the categories we cover.
This literally is the Drone Ultimatum.
This is the Drone Ultimatum.
This is. I mean, we probably just stopped the podcast after this episode. It's pretty much that capstone. Jesus.
Cool. So drone incident summary. We send this map off to our customers every month. This is good for leadership because they suddenly go, oh, this is a global problem.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening. Keep going down. We talk customers through like the documents we found, why they're important, why it matters to them, the frequencies, cybersecurity, if there's any kind of exploits or vulnerabilities for drones, disruption. Like, there's been a bunch of, similar to the New Jersey drone incident, right? It's like there's been a bunch of Chinese pilots that have been caught with systems that are tracking ships and boats through straits. So that sanctions, supply chain, contraband delivery, all of this information is already on the platform, but we just present it in a way that they can
to help build a brief for them.
Exactly. So you can kind of skip through the rest, but it's goes for about 45 minutes. We have question and answer, go through all the TDPs. There's some Mexican cartels using DTI systems.
Yeah.
And they've renamed that one to CJNG, which is the name of a cartel.
Oh.
So they also renamed their system. So if any of them ever through, let's just say, nefarious means got a bullfrog, they'd probably rename it to their
that makes sense.
their cartel name. So hit back. So that's the knowledge base. We then have, I won't go through all of it, but the drone database. So this is where all the technical characteristics, you can click on the drone section, is logged in different drones we've seen on the battlefield. So if you go to consumer and hobbyist, for example, click on maybe the Mavic 3. You got to minimize that. That's the classic, but there's different versions.
Mavic
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you're going to see not only all of its technical specifications, so you can configure your system to like hit its range or
this
whatever.
Is great. It's not Blue UAS verified.
Is it not?
It's not.
That's surprising me. No. But you've got its frequencies that it uses, so if you want to jam it, and then it keeps scrolling down, you've basically got all the modifications that are available for it.
Wait, go up to the frequencies? So you'd say like, okay, it's
2.4 to 5.8.
Yeah. So that's what they want to jam from.
Yeah, and GNSS.
Can they modify these to not be jammable? Have they done that yet?
So depends on the system. Like FPVs and DIY systems, you can absolutely change the frequency. For DJIs, there's some firmware mods out there that'll boost the power, which makes jamming harder, or they'll try to do different things. But your DJIs are going to operate on the frequencies they've been built with. There's some small differences in, say, Europe and the US, but that's mostly it. And then if you scroll down, like every drone is linked to, the incidents that have been used throughout the world. And so you'll get like again, a map of relevant intelligence for this specific model based on where it's been used. So scroll down, you get a bit more, Jack. There's all your intel. One happened today. Multiple have happened.
All right, here, let's do
Yeah.
it. So you can
Throughout
click on
different
what
places.
today's. Let's just look today's, Jack. Top left, right there.
Rorawalla.
So
Yeah.
like someone posted this in.
Yeah. So this is just a small bit of intel. Tells you what happened, where it was. You know, and obviously they got the image there, lat long. And then we've got counter drone systems.
Look at these guys.
They're very happy with
This guy on the right is very excited.
Wouldn't you be too if you
Wow.
caught a drone?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe last thing I want to just show you is the stolen drone database. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
SDI. Okay, so this was we've got a new version coming out very soon as well. But there are tens of thousands of stolen drones on here. It is the world's largest and most viral like database for putting your stolen drones. And I'm going to tell you why it's actually really important. And you can click on one with a picture somewhere. Maybe that DJI
Yeah,
Mini.
that's
photo.
good. Yeah.
So we actually had a drone go missing or stolen, and
It's our
you know,
minis.
if you contact DJI, they do nothing.
Yeah.
As a bad guy, you can keep flying around a stolen drone. And why is that important? Well, you've got no attribution because it's got someone else's ID, or you weren't the one who bought it at point of sale. So tracking you is very difficult. If you're flying it towards a stadium in the US and you're using a stolen drone, you can do bad stuff and you can't be found unless they triangulate your position. So we built this platform and it went viral because people are getting drones stolen or lost all the time. But on the back end, and hopefully I can say this on the podcast, but
Yeah, you
see
can.
that little drone serial number?
Yeah.
We take tens of thousands of these and we feed them to detection companies,
Mm.
and they can then detect when a stolen drone is seen, and
Yeah.
that increases their risk profile. So like imagine the Bullfrog had let's say it had a RF detection system, or
Yeah.
it could see drone IDs. I don't know if it does or not, or if it just uses optical.
Well, no,
recognition.
we'd love to add that. That makes sense now. We should have it now.
Okay, well it sounds like a layered system.
Yeah.
So it's searching for drone IDs. One's coming towards you and it's not on this
How does
list.
it get the ID with just RF?
Because it's in the drone ID packet.
It's
like
in the packet. So
the-
yeah.
Yeah,
When
the
they
DJI
demodulate
protocol.
the waveform or whatever.
Exactly. And so normal like drone IDs are okay, unless you have other things to tell you it's bad. Ours will be like, this thing's stolen. And stolen drones are used in a lot of prison drops. And so if it's coming towards you, it might heighten your risk and say, that's going to give you a priority rating to target it first.
We gotta add that feature.
Gotta add the
We're adding that
stolen
to-
drone feature.
Yeah, no, we're adding that, and then we can hit your like API in real time or whatever. Pay
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So if one's added immediately, you're going to add that to your list.
You just got a new customer, bro.
Cool. We'll shake hands on
Your customer, dude, your product. Okay, I think we can go off this now. I think this has been good. That's
Yep.
good OPSEC.
Cool.
Good OPSEC.
OPSEC is a big thing for us. Like you won't find any customer names on our website.
Yeah.
They're not mentioned anywhere. We don't tell people what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack kind of he inferred one because I told him the places I visited in the
Oh,
US, and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "Oh, nice." I was like, So that's a small part of it, but yeah, we don't tell who our customers are because they really respect that, and you know, if they want to keep working with us, one of the things we always look at is podcasts like these. You know, it's being listened to by Russians, Chinese, all of that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're taking notes.
Yeah, well, they're listening to me, which I don't really know how my system works. So they're not getting shit, bro. I'm just the fundraiser.
That is hilarious.
I hope they listen to this.
Get
They
some
don't know.
laughs out
They
of
don't
it.
know about misinformation. Yeah.
That is hilarious. Well, look, I mean, if we think about it, like if they're taking notes on everything and they know who our customers are, they can target the supply chain or us to get through them. So we got to be really careful who we mention. And so, yeah, we probably could do a lot better marketing if we were able to say who we work with, but we just don't.
No. I think. I mean, honestly. Well, first of all, what an awesome business! Congratulations. It really is amazing, and I think it's only going to get better because this problem is only going to increase. Like it's probably the smallest it'll ever be today.
Yeah.
Right.
It is. Every day it's the smallest it's ever been.
I know. That's what I say. That's a talking point of mine. But
Yeah.
it's true.
That is
Like,
very true.
the drone wars have just started, and
Mhm.
it's crazy. I mean, I don't think people like are really internalizing it.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I think we think it's so important is there's a lot of people focusing on building UAS. There's a lot of people focusing on building counter UAS. Maybe not as many Kinetic, which is awesome. So I applaud your business model. But there wasn't anyone focusing on the intelligence part of it. Like the actual, let's figure out what the baseline is and give that information.
Well, there's
to
a lot
people.
to figure out there too.
There
I mean,
is.
There's so much. I mean, just a quick perusal through your
Yeah.
database there. I mean, it's vast. The team must be
tens
working
and tens
very
of
hard.
thousands.
How big's the team?
Yeah, so we have one belief, and that's small, sustainable, and make sure we don't have to ever fire anybody because we
Yeah.
run out of money. So
Yeah.
fully bootstrapped, as I said, we don't have any VC funding. And so we just make sure, like software as a service, the service should improve over time, and we should automate everything to make sure we have less people. So we're actually a small team. I won't give exact numbers,
That's
but
fine.
we're definitely not your 50 to 100.
How do I actually invest?
How do you actually invest?
Yeah. Dude, I need
For
to
a long
be a
time,
part of
we've
it.
turned down a lot of VCs. We've
I know.
Been like,
I'm
you
not a
know,
VC though, bro.
True. Are
I'm-
you an angel? Would you call yourself
I'm an angel.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan.
Cool.
Also, I don't look for returns.
maybe
Yeah.
that's a new category we have to create as like monetary invested fan, something along those lines.
You'll never
So,
hear from me about the returns.
the ROI.
I'll just be like, because I know someday this isn't. It's gonna crush.
It will,
Obviously,
yeah.
I mean, it will. It's like, it's clearly one of the best drone businesses I've seen.
Cool. That's a compliment.
No,
definitely.
like straight up.
yeah.
And I've
cool.
seen a lot of them. So congrats. I mean, really congrats to your team too. Like
No, thank you.
that's very impressive.
Yeah, they are an impressive team.
I had no idea what this was when we started the podcast today.
Good. I think I use an Eminem line on you,
Yeah.
by the way. I don't know if you got that. I was like, I've been calling you, but I haven't been answering.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, he definitely didn't get that catchphrase.
No, I do. I love
so-
Eminem. Obviously, I'm born in 1986, so that's like we grew up with that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I heard you and Dan Meiji talking about 86 Baby.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not,
What's
not
your?
in that league.
When were you born?
OPSEC wise, I probably won't disclose that, but I'm definitely on the upper side.
Are you older or younger than me?
Definitely younger.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, you seem younger. You look younger.
Good.
You look more vibrant.
Oh, that's more vibrant. Jeez. It's this amazing coffee machine that you.
It's not the
you have.
magnesium spray from
so-
Aloe.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah, I put this on all the guests.
Okay.
Spray it on you.
All right.
Here,
Is it on my hand or
get a little-
face?
Yeah, smell that.
Is it almost like the powerlifters who
Yeah.
sniff? Is it magnesium shards and it kind of gives them
Yeah.
a jolt? You know.
We're shifting to Lulu products though. We're over Aloe now.
Okay.
So soon,
Are
yeah.
they a sponsor of the podcast?
No, I mean, yeah, obviously. No,
Yeah.
a bunch of VCs started wearing Aloe, so it's not cool anymore.
Okay. Right.
So we can't do what the investors do.
yeah, unfortunately,
This is a Lulu jacket, so
okay.
we're
very
switching
nice.
back.
Yeah, this is a DroneSec jacket.
Yeah.
So
you got to do like drone. You should do like DroneSec with like some sort of designer brand. I know you can afford that now with all the money you make on this thing. You
That
said it
is a
was
good
six
idea.
figures.
It is.
So-
It is in that range, depending
So
on
you must be
the
balling,
customer.
bro.
So, yeah. Look, the amount of customers we can sell to
You fly
is,
private here?
is not. Sorry.
Did you fly private here?
I flew coach.
Okay.
I will continue to fly coach until we hit a certain figure.
Yeah.
Make sure it's reinvested into the business. But
Wow.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm not so connected to the VC world. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts and talk to them, but we've just been trying to build a great product to make sure customers
This
give
is
us awesome feedback.
So
So
sick.
very focused. And I actually moved the business from Australia to the US in 2023
Where?
because Delaware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like just the
The
paperwork.
HQ. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have staff here, but the idea was a lot of people won't talk to you if you're from another country, even if it's 5i. You're right. You have to be here. And
Yeah.
our data's stored here. Everything is housed here. And what's funny is other nations, even Australia, quickly came and bought from us when we headquartered here.
It's
Go
like a
figure.
badge of honor or something.
It is.
Wow.
It's a great place to be and to do business. Yeah.
Land of the free.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, what do you think of switching gears a little? So what do you think of like the Eperis system? Is that in your database?
Eperis System. Is
Let's
that the
pull that up.
microwave
Let's
one?
pull up the Leonidas, yeah.
Let's have a look at
This
that.
guy's the drone expert, so we got to get his take.
Yeah. So
there
giving
we go.
commentary on
Images.
other people's systems. I mean, and I will caveat that I haven't seen this in a T&E event or know too much about it.
Oh,
but
yeah. Well,
I will
mean,
say,
I don't think it's on the battlefield yet.
right. It's a large looking system.
Oh, yeah, we got to get the animation. Oh, yeah, here we go.
They have a nice website.
Yeah, obviously. It's VC backed, bro. They got a nice website. Well, they got rid of the animation. I think
Oh.
I think it's because I was making fun of it.
Right. So my first question
There we
would be, how do you
Oh, there it
hide
is.
one of these?
There it is. There's a good one.
Right. Yeah, like how do you hide something this large? Obviously, it depends on the location. And I think you're definitely going to need this in a layered counter US.
Do you think this takes out the? So my take is I don't know about like these new drones though. Like obviously for these commercial ones, I think it can fry them. You know?
I don't know how it works, so I wouldn't know what it does to a fiber optic cable drone. So yeah, I'll reserve that for.
So
not
you don't have
knowing
the.
much
You didn't have
about
any. I just wanted to know if you had anything in your database on it yet.
We probably do. Me personally, I don't know about this system as much as I would like to. What do you think? Is this
well, so
is
this is the
working
reason
in
I bring it
tandem
up
with
is
yours?
because I talked to a lot of like people in Congress and like House Armed Services Committee and Army leadership, and some general consensus is that this is a force field, and that if they that we don't actually need to worry about drones. This takes care of it all. It's done.
Oh.
And it's like kind of scary to me. They're like, yeah, if we just had like at any given time we could just put these on the battlefield and drone war is over.
I probably wouldn't agree with that statement.
I mean, that's the sentiment that I've in some of the sales conversations I'm
Right.
in which I obviously because I have a somewhat of a competitor Kinetic wise, so that's why I always like to ask because I'm just curious what people think.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where I don't think we've seen a single countermeasure being used with 100% effectiveness.
Yeah.
Even in T&E events like practice, and if it's deployed, I mean, you want to have systems like this and like yours, but you're going to have a layered defense.
Yeah,
for multiple options. And by the way, if you're an adversary right now, you're studying the system, like every technical specification, and you're coming up with countermeasures. You're like, how do I get past the system?
Yeah.
And I don't know what its range is, so like its azimuth, if it's if it can hit ground as well, or how that works. But we focus on UGVs, like the ground drones, as well as maritime. Like that was an option in that filter there.
Oh, you have UGVs on there too?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, your
USVs,
market just got even bigger.
UUVs. Yep.
So like the Overland, you can pull up like the Forterra, like these like new companies in the
I know
US.
about that. Yeah.
They're like these aren't the ones fielded yet, but over there's other companies I'm sure in the Asian market and that are just like fielding a lot of UUVs,
Exactly.
UGVs.
Yeah, we've seen them work in tandem. Like the UGVs will go through and they'll have air support, which are other drones. USVs are really interesting. So not only have the cartels used some to transport drugs, between countries because they're kind of like mini submarines, rudimentary submarines, but obviously what they've been doing in the Red Sea and places like Ukraine and Russia is incredible. Like we saw the Megura, I think it was the V5, Ukrainian USV. So it's surface vehicle.
Yeah.
And then they got to a point where some of the oil rigs were, where they launched small FPVs out of the USV to target personnel before using it as a weapon itself. So any thoughts you have on, well, we can't put a bullfrog on an oil and gas rig because we're not expecting small FPVs out here? I would say absolutely you should have one there because you're going to have a USV that will deploy the small FPVs close to the oil and gas rig, and then you're going to need it, right? And I don't know how your system fares against maritime, but I think that's a great use case.
No, maritime. It was built for maritime.
It was built for maritime.
No, yeah.
Amazing.
I'm a former Navy guy.
Okay, so it had
built
to
for
be
maritime.
Submarines?
Yeah.
No, did it have? Can it focus on UUVs?
UUVs, yeah.
Really?
Or not UUVs, USVs.
Okay.
Can't go underwater.
I was gonna say, that's gonna be a new
USVs.
targeting point.
Yeah, UUVs. I don't know what the solution is there really.
Hmm.
But like to be honest, a submarine with a torpedo seems way better than a UUV. The UUVs like are. I mean, I like follow some of these companies. They seem cool,
Right.
but like, I don't know. Like, how effective are they really? Being underwater is hard, and driving underwater, and it's like if you're trying to make these things cheap, we'll see.
So I think that's a really interesting point you make is how cheap. So in the Philippines, fishermen keep catching these really odd-looking USVs in their nets. They believe they're probably, some of them are deep sea research and undersea mapping, but it's like, are those dual use? Do they have military applications? And so someone is making them on the cheap and they're able to go underwater, right? Even if it's just kind of just under the surface.
Yeah.
So I think the whole point is, in say, between China, Taiwan, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, all of that, if you were to have, say, an army of drones or multiple UUVs being able to block passages, lay, undersea mines, that kind of thing, potentially you could get a use case there. But how comms, and I'm not a comms guy, I've done a little bit of SDR, RF work, especially on the pen testing side.
Well, you can't really do comms for things underwater.
Well,
Not
yeah,
really.
I mean, how would that work if they need to change direction and choose new targets? So that's got to be a difficult
We'll
one.
see. Yeah, I don't know how that fully plays out yet. But what else? So what was your is this your first company or?
It is, yes.
What were you doing before this?
So I was always had an affinity for ethical hacking or penetration testing. So cybersecurity was my initial background. Worked in defense. In Australia, it's called Canberra. That's our capital. That's where all defense is.
Okay.
And in the US, obviously, DC is that main hub. But
Yeah.
you have people spread out. Most of our good defenses based in Canberra.
Uh-huh.
So I worked cyber, and then I was the red team lead. So that was doing the kind of cyber and physical intrusions of different companies, and did that for a while.
So wait, the company you worked at was
As a contract, like a
okay.
consulting company.
Okay.
Yep. So companies would pay us to go and try to break in and infiltrate.
Did you work there for like a long time, like after college, or
Yeah. So after college, it was probably about 5
did they say
years.
university? What do they say?
Yeah, university.
After university. Okay.
5 years or so in between that kind of cyber and red team role.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2020 took the company full time. I moonlighted for like 4 years.
But why'd you start it? You just saw it coming.
I saw it coming because we were using drones to infiltrate these perimeters, which was amazing. Like no one could stop us at that point. But I also saw these incidents happening, and no one had good counter UAS. There was some good big players back then in counter UAS, and I was like, well, I'm cyber and OSINT or Intel, so I got to build a product that's going to track like 1 million drone incidents a day. Because surely the counter UAS guys are going to need this. So I actually thought like your category was going to be our main customer at the start, where like the drone shields or the ACS or the Eperis would be our customers. Turns out sometimes they don't actually want to build towards the incoming threat. They want to build requirements and what the customer says. You got to build this and this and this. So
oh wow. Well, I mean, we got to be. I mean, we should be a customer just to show people the threats.
Well, there you go. Well, hopefully it feeds into R&D because they can be like, this is what we're seeing. This is how we're going to build the counter UAS for the next thing.
Yeah.
So predicting, or should I say forecasting, is important. Fiber optic cable drones. People like, is that the current, best use case?
Yeah.
But if you look into some of the scientific research and papers, people have built tethered or powered fiber optic cable. So imagine you don't have just 20 minutes battery. Imagine you have full power, 20-kilometer range, but this drone is able to keep flying because it's got unlimited battery.
Yeah.
That might be the next thing. So then your countermeasures got to adapt towards it.
Yeah. I mean, you know how we came up with ours, right? We knew, like, we're all electrical engineers, and we just knew that EW and lasers and microwaves weren't going to work. Like, when we started 3 years ago, we knew where the drones were going to head.
Sure.
And where they're headed is that the only countermeasure is kinetic.
Okay.
That's where it's going. That's what we believe.
I think, and fiber optic cables are a great demonstrator.
That's just one,
right?
but like imagine an fully autonomous drone, no fiber optic, and it just flies to an area and then sees the highest value target that it makes a determination on its own and kills it, tries to kill it.
Yeah.
Just no comms.
That's coming. It's already being worked.
That's worked.
Yeah.
So like the no comms drone, and then with just a little bit of conductive shielding, you can shield from microwaves.
Right.
And with a little bit of reflective coating from lasers. So what's left?
So you're planning on hitting the drone that the adversaries have configured to the point to have all these countermeasures, and you are just that effective last line of defense.
There's nothing you can do against a bullet.
Yeah.
That's the company.
I like that tagline. That should have been right under the company tagline.
And that's why we did it. Like we just because we saw it evolving, and I think one of the problems right now is that people really, really want these other countermeasures to work because they're safer.
Right.
But it's cope, as the kids say. It's not
Cope
going.
cages.
It's not going to work, and I'm really concerned. I'm deeply concerned about the ability to defend against this stuff. And yeah, I think that there needs to be much more investment into kinetic kill of drones. I think it's pretty much the only countermeasure that will last in the next 20 years.
That's a good assessment, and I think it's a good thesis to have going into not just battlefields, but the commercial sector or civilian sector. So do you see any shift in pace where you're predicting a high value event? Like let's say the grand final, you've got two teams going, 100,000 people packed into a stadium. Do you ever see them going to that point because drones become such a threat of using something like Kinetic?
Well, I'm not as much worried about terrorist attacks because I think that most people don't do terrorist attacks. Like those are more like black swan events.
Sure. Okay.
Just because you have the technology to kill 100,000 civilians doesn't mean you do it. There's people could do that today. I mean, Oklahoma City bombing or something. Like you don't need drones to kill mass amount of civilians.
So you're building for the battlefield, building for base defense.
The battlefield and base defense. Because I just think that like most people aren't pure evil and aren't going to like just kill lots of civilians.
Right.
And also yeah, it just doesn't seem like something that you can really defend against.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting
You're
looking
not going
at
to defend every stadium in the world. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think that some are hoping to do that, but it's interesting seeing the chatter. So we're on a bunch of obviously interesting chat groups and forums where we're looking at, say, Islamic State affiliated materials and how they're trying to tell you which drone to use in a terrorist attack, and they're producing materials to say you can use this one because it sprays better as an agricultural drone versus say this one, which is better for dropping explosives and things like that. And they're sharing this material out to people. So we know they're getting the material. We know for a fact that they're getting drones and some precursor, explosives. They're practicing with these things. And in some cases they use, but again, it's a lot less, as you're saying, than the battlefield, where there's like so many events happening a day. So we give the intel to people, and their defensive mechanism may be an SOP or a standard operating procedure, versus yours, which is like the actual technology.
Yeah, I just don't think that like there's no appetite for defending stadiums with guns. Like that's just not like it's. I think they would rather just not.
Right.
And I think I would probably agree with them. Like, what kind of world is that?
Yeah.
Or we're just like having machine gun bullfrogs on every stadium. That's not like a world anyone wants to live in, right?
That sounds like a dystopian TV show,
exactly.
Black Mirror episode.
And so, okay, let's just play it out. Like, let's just say, Wimbledon.
Right.
They drone strike it with like FPV swarms, like a terrorist attack. What would be the response to that? Like, would we start saying, okay, every stadium now needs kinetic turrets on it and high-powered microwaves, and you're going to surround every stadium like that?
Yeah, I guess it depends on who can use it. Like, obviously, a federal or a state local police would be managing that event. It wouldn't necessarily be military, and military probably have the rules for using some of those systems. So, you make a good point.
It's tough. Like, I totally. So when we get asked about this a lot, and I've instructed my team to completely ignore it because I know humans,
right?
And humans aren't doing this. They'd rather just get struck. So it's not like a market we pursue.
Oh, that you have your go-to-market, and it's a specific.
It's war.
Yeah,
the go-to-market is like warfare.
Right.
I actually do. I have no idea how the civilian protection market's going to play out, because that these are so good. There's nothing to really protect except for kinetics.
Right.
And so, I have no clue.
Have you heard about these flyaway kits?
No.
It's like the one of the, I guess, in theory, answers to right now with a lot of the drones flying over military bases or swarms and things like that. It's like, rather than stopping it, how do we actually find the source or where it's coming from? And a lot of the detection systems aren't actually picking these up. So it's, in theory, launch your own drone and have that track where the drone came from or where it's going to land, things like that. So I think the civilian market might look at options like those of locating the operator or sending their own drones up in the air. I think civilian market can't be discounted, not from your company's systems, but there's two really interesting items that come to mind, by the way. The one was in Israel. They've had assassination attempts via drone quite often.
Of course.
Pipe bombs and things like that. One of the first ones was a 13-story apartment, 13-story, apologies. And it was just a cartel leader or a gang leader. And the enemy crew sent up a drone and tried to detonate at his window and take him out. Failed to do that. But just that that's in a civilian context. We're not talking about, Israel, Gaza. It's just completely civilian, yet different gangs are using weaponized drones in that context to do it. The other one was in Ecuador. There was a prison, La Roca prison, I believe, and there was an agricultural drone with an explosive charge, and they landed on the roof and tried to detonate it to get their guy out so he could climb out and escape. 1 year later, they tried the exact same thing, just with a different drone. And so if you've got an explosive charge on a drone and you see that coming towards a prison, I mean, that might be a handy use case where it's kind of
to a prison. All right, so what's next for the business and for you?
Yeah, so there's two key things we're working on at the moment. One is obviously integrations. Like, there's a lot of software that government, military, defense uses, and they want to use less screens and put them into one screen and centralize it. So we know there's some big software platforms out there we have to integrate with. We're doing that now.
I don't like that.
You don't like that? I don't like that either.
Force them into your platform.
Yeah, that is currently the...
They want the info. You have it all, right?
So I think the integrations are important for one thing, and that's because we don't do higher side. So they do have other overlays. They
You
want
should charge a lot for this.
Oh, to do API development costs money. Yeah. Exactly. So that's one thing we're working on. The other one is so there's C2s available for CanaUS today. Like, do you integrate with Sapient or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So Sapient, you know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's like a common C2 language or library for different CanaUS to talk to each other.
Okay.
There's nothing like that for intelligence. Our platform is the only way that currently people can get access to codified intelligence priorities. So like they say to us, we want to know about all FPV drones.
Mm-hmm.
That's codified. The platform will share that information back to them. So we're actually going to open source, and we've been working on this on our threat matrix. Like all those TDPs I talked about, they're all in a kill chain mapped out by software. We're going to share that with people so that if they get an alert from our platform, it can be sent to a CanaUS system, which will take actions or work on that. So that's one of the other things. We're mostly in government, so federal law enforcement, special forces, defense. We don't have a huge commercial market, as you can imagine. Like, other than awareness, there's not much they can actually do about it, other than if they're doing T&E events or red air events. So yeah, just expanding into critical infrastructure and locations.
I think governments is enough of a market, though. I mean, it's big.
Is,
I mean, every government needs this.
Yes,
basically.
Yep.
How do you that's just like a sales challenge, though, because it's like every government's got like different language and different culture and how they buy, and it's just nah.
Yep. I'll tell you.
That's you on the road a lot, I bet.
Yes, and I'll tell you a funny story. So in one of the first times I was in Singapore, I didn't understand some of the culture there, the business culture, and so I walked into a meeting, pretty high-ranking person. I took out my business card and I just flicked it onto the table and landed in a little wet spot where the condensation had been. And the look he gave me, just kind of half picked it up, put it down. I was like, sit. And he's like, no, I'll stand. 5 minutes later, that meeting was over.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what did I do wrong? And then one of our staff members over there, I was talking to him. I told him the story and he was just like, he was pale with shock about what I did. And he's like, in Singapore, it's like you take out the business card, you treat it like it's an honorary thing, you give it to them, you put it in your little metal case, like, you don't just shove it into your pocket. And I'd put it in a wet puddle of water and just flicked it.
That is great.
Things like that, cultural learning is important. We are almost entirely word of mouth and inbound leads.
Yeah.
So we have too many leads to deal with. We just have to qualify whether they're a good customer. We don't take bad customers.
Yeah.
We don't take customers who just want to solely use us for sales and marketing. It has to be R&D skewed.
Well, we need to make our product better.
Exactly. That's the point, right?
I have to use the API for the what was that for again? Just for your like identity.
Stolen drone.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's huge right there.
And that's the one thing that's publicly available. Like right now, you can look at that website. You just can't get access to the API in the back end.
No, I know. Yeah, we wouldn't scrape. Obviously, we do it for real.
No, for sure. It's so yeah, inbound leads. We actually, like, part of the origin was I would send out a weekly threat brief or like newsletter on all the drone incidents that had occurred. Here's your change in business model. So we were sending this out. We got a lot of traction. I mean, by a lot of traction, it was kind of 10 to 15K weekly users or readers for this brief. It was free.
That's good though.
They were reading this. They were eating it up. It was like a 92% open rate. It was incredible, and they'd share it around. Over time, though, we were like, well, we need to eat. So how are we going to monetize this? We try to blur certain sections out, and it pissed people off. Sometimes they'd be like, hey, we're not getting this information, and it's critical to our government operations.
Well, it's a paywall.
It's a paywall. And so we moved
They should pay.
Well, not out of 10,000, you'd think we'd be able to get a good amount of 10,000, but there was really only a few that had the money to pay for it, and it was part of their actual operation. That's the difference, right, between customers and clicks, and just people who want to see the cool eye candy, right? So,
well, Mike, this has been amazing.
It's been awesome to chat to you.
Thanks so much. I mean, I can't believe it. Honestly, I've never seen anything like that. You really blew my mind today. You blew my mind. Now I gotta go think about this.
Cool. I hope to see your product in action one day as well.
You will soon. I'll tell you, it's very, very hard to build.
I can
There's
imagine.
a lot that goes into it. So it's almost done.
Lots of time and
we'll
money.
See it. Lots of time and money.
Good people. If you've got a smart team, you can achieve anything.
Yeah, when you're in Austin, come see it.
Cool.
We'll hang out.
We'll do.
Do some barbecue and shit.
Oh, awesome. I smoke my own meat, so that sounds like a plan.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, dude.